Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to see you all here at our McCain Health and Wellness Talks in association with ProVeg. We've got a very, very exciting panel up for discussion today. I'm going to start with Donovan. He is our country lead at ProVeg, and we go way back. Just a bit of really inside information. We used to waitress together many years ago. Waiter together. Yeah. And we have Brett Thompson, who was on Carte Blanche the other day. We're very, very excited to have you up here on our panel.
Good reason.
I know, not one of those investigative. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, the next one will be.
But very big welcome to you, co-founder and CEO of Mzansi Meat. And we have Joni Symon, also big welcome to you, from Novo Dairy. So we can't wait to hear about all the incredible foodie topics you're going to be discussing, the future of alternative protein in South Africa. I'm going to hand over and enjoy.
Thank you, Amy. Can everyone hear me all right at the back? I'm really excited about this talk. When I started eating less meat and going plant-based, it was really exciting to find meat alternatives, really good meat alternatives. And the meat alternatives around the world and in South Africa have really come a long way. And now we've got the next iteration. We've got the next step of where we're going to be getting our protein from. And I'm really excited to be asking these two some questions. So I think the first question we're going to ask, I think most people will understand a lot of the plant-based protein. We're not going to be speaking about that. We're going to be speaking about something a bit more exciting. So if each of you can just tell us a little bit about the type of protein that you're making, and how it's different to animal protein or plant protein. Brett, we can start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Don, and thanks for the introduction. ProVeg McCain for putting this all together. It's really good to be here. So my company is called Mzansi Meat. Some of my team are in the audience here today. We needed extra numbers. So what we do is not plant-based. That's something that I have to explain to quite a few people. What we do is we take a few cells from an animal, and then we perfectly recreate, as best as we can, the conditions of an animal outside of the animal. And then over a period of time, it takes us about 4 weeks, we then create muscle tissue, fat, and other animal-derived products, or tissue, should I say, and combine that to make burgers. So about 18 months ago, or April, 18 months ago, we made our first meatball. I think last year we made our first burger, beef, and now we've made lamb. So I feel like a bit like a Greek mother, and I'm able to now serve lamb at the braai.
Thank you, Brett. And Joni?
Cool. So what we do isn't plant-based either. So we make bioidentical...
Mic up. You've got to just move your mic up.
Oh, sure. So we make bioidentical milk proteins. So the way that we do this is we use a microorganism. We essentially give them the genetic instructions to make a bioidentical protein. We then ferment it like you would with beer. And this microorganism then creates these proteins. We're specifically interested in the nutrition of animal proteins. So more kind of high value, low volume sort of products.
Great, thank you so much. And I think the obvious benefit that an animal doesn't have to be slaughtered, I think we all understand that very well. But can you both speak a little bit about the potential health benefits and the environmental benefits of your products?
Maybe I'll tackle some of the environmental components because it's the reason why we chose cows and beef, because beef, I think everybody in this room probably agrees, has the biggest impact compared to any of the other foods that we eat. And our process at the moment is still, we're trying to achieve scale. So we're pretty small scale, or R&D scale, as we say. But at the stage that we're at, we've already been able to find a lot of efficiencies in comparison to conventional animal agriculture. So as I mentioned, and I can go into a bit more detail, but maybe a little bit later, about what that process looks like. How do we go from a single cell to muscle tissue? The coolest thing is that it takes us 3 to 4 weeks. And I don't know if anyone knows how long it takes a conventional animal agriculture process to take a cow from being born to slaughter, but it's about 18 months. Okay, so we, at the very least, are 18 times quicker at doing what conventional animal agriculture does. And there's a lot of other benefits from that. We don't need vast amounts of land. in a room like this, we could put a couple of vats. We brew it essentially similar. Well, tissue culture is also a brewing process, but we could have vats in this room that could be taking out the same sort of size or land size that you would need a farm or two to be able to do. So it's a real speed component, so the water usage is a lot less. The energy use is probably thereabouts, but then the land usage particularly is a lot less. And the conversion rate is also quite exciting. I mean, if you look at, like, I don't know these numbers anymore at the top of my head, but the conversion of like kilojoules in for meat to, well, plants into meat, it's like 1 to plenty. And we potentially might be able to just require about 4 to 1 in terms of our output, which is drastically better, particularly when it comes to beef. Chicken is still a very efficient type of product, so we don't actually look at chicken at the moment. But lamb is our next, and pork, because of that environmental factor. But there's a host of other things. I'll pass on. You know more about the health than I do, so I'll pass it on to you.
Cool. So I guess for a little bit more context about our focus proteins. So we're currently focusing on producing a protein called lactoferrin. It's not a very well-known milk protein. It's found in incredibly low concentrations in milk, probably about 1%. Less than 1%, sort of 0.1%. And this protein has insane sort of nutritional benefits. Not only does it bind iron and facilitate iron uptake, it has antimicrobial activity, and probably the most relevant is it's critical in infant immune system development, and also just in essentially infant nutrition. It's one of the proteins that make breast milk superior to formula. And because of the very, very, very low inclusion rate in milk, this protein isn't used a lot in a lot of nutritional or formula applications because it's just incredibly expensive and inefficient to purify out of milk. So with our technology, we can bump up how much we produce per liter of broth quite significantly, and that's obviously a lot more efficient than, you know, purifying out a couple of milligrams per liter of milk. Yeah.
Joni, can you just explain exactly what your product will look like? I think with Brett's product, it's going to look like a burger, it's going to look like meat. What is your product going to look like, and how is it going to be used?
So our product is purified out of this fermentation broth. So it'll be essentially 100% pure protein, and that can then be used in applications like infant formula or included in nutrition supplements to tackle iron deficiency, those sorts of applications.
So it look like whey protein. Is it like a
Yeah, it is a whey protein.
Yeah.
So I've been asking you guys very easy questions so far. So now I think, Brett, we're going to ask
Why
you.
do I get the hard one already?
Yeah. So Brett and I have worked together at a couple of different organizations. So he gets the hard question first. You worked at Fry's, and I know that you like their products and you like meat replacements that are plant-based. We have amazing plant-based meat replacements. Why do we need to make lab-grown meat?
Yeah, so just for context, I've worked in alternative proteins for 15 years. I was the first, I actually wrote my thesis back at Stellenbosch in 2008. And you can imagine talking about plant-based in Stellenbosch in 2008 was a challenge as much as it is a challenge now. There has been improvements. Really, like, it's incredible now. If I go to Dorp Street, it's like amazing food. So yeah, I haven't eaten meat in 15 years, and I'm, haven't eaten animal products for probably about half that time. What I do know is that after 15 years of running campaigns, I used to run a campaign called Meat Free Mondays, Veganuary, some of these names you guys might be familiar with, speaking to thousands of South Africans. You don't often get invited to the buyback, it's just meat. There's something so instrumental about meat to the South African identity and to the world's identity, I think, for large parts of the place. And it just tastes so damn good. And there's so many components about meat that taste so damn good that we're only just beginning to understand as a company. And I looked, and also working at Fry's for 10 years. Those nuggets, I've eaten probably more than you and I have probably eaten most nuggets on this continent. But there's still a level of what you can do with vegetable fat. There's still a level of what you can do with soy. There's definitely a perception about what soy is and if it's good or bad or whatever it is. I can talk about that as well. But it's there. And I learned, about 3 or 5 years ago, I was living in Berlin working at ProVeg, where we connected again, and I started connecting with these entrepreneurs and scientists, looking at the next generation of alternative protein. And the word alternative, I think, needs to drop. It's in the title, but I think what we need to do is not have an alternative. It needs to be something better. And I think that's what we're trying to do as a company. It's about making something better than meat. How do you make something that's got a better nutrient profile that tastes better? How do you make steak without cholesterol? I think we could do it. I mean, again, my team's over there, so I won't say too many things, and we've got 10 minutes left. So I think what we're trying to do is to actually change people's perception by saying that you can make something without cruelty that tastes better. And I think that's the goal. And I think fries, Beyond Meat, Impossible are fantastic for me and probably the people in this audience. But I can guarantee you, for the majority of people, they're not going to spend 50% more on a burger. It's just not going to happen. So we have to make it taste better, and it's got to be cheaper. And that's what we're trying to do.
Cool. And Joni, do you want to add something there about why people would want your product over like a plant-based protein?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the, thought around nutrition I've been a vegan for about 10 years, and I think I've always kind of believed, like, if I get enough of the essential amino acids, enough carbohydrates, enough fats, I can live a perfectly healthy diet, which, it's true, but there's all of these other components that you're missing out on when you make a transition from an animal-focused diet into a plant-based diet. And the whole protein has functions in the body, nutritional functions beyond what individual amino acids or individual carbohydrates can have. So I think leveraging a technology like precision fermentation allows you to fill in that gap by identifying what could be really beneficial and move from kind of okay baseline, I'm healthy, to optimized health.
Okay, perfect. The next difficult question is going to be also for both of you. I think a lot of people will wonder, how expensive is this product at the moment? When is it going to be available on shelves? When can I have one, Brett? I've been asking for a while.
You have.
And how long do you think it's going to take to reach price parity for your products?
Joni can go first.
So, for us, actually scaling the technology fully and being fully on the market is only really predicted to be 2027. We'll have scalability before then, probably 2024, 2025. In terms of reaching price parity for us, because the protein that we're focusing on is a high volume, low volume sort of protein, we can reach price parity quite quickly, and we'll continue to bring the price down over time. I can't give you an exact date on that. I'm a scientist, not an economist.
They never do. Yeah, ask the guy that. Yeah, I try to ask for numbers from my team, and it's difficult. But they know they're getting better. That's why they're here today. This technology was sort of popularized in about 2013. It was two Dutch guys, obviously, and they created the first cultivated or lab-grown beef burger. And that cost, I think, $300,000. Okay, but obviously that's years of R&D to get to that place. So it wasn't just that wasn't the absolute cost. So within 10 years now, you've got about, let's say, 100 companies around the world, and a portion of them are like us, who are trying to create consumer products as well as the technology. So that's the portion, and the rest are all is the maker of the industry. So I'm just giving you the context that the industry went from zero to what it is today with the funding of about $3 billion in no time at all. So if cows took 10,000 years to be perfected, what we've done in 10 years is pretty damn good. You're asking for a price, so I'm going to give you a price. So our burgers that we made, the reason why we were on carte blanche, it was a positive. It wasn't a hit piece. It was a positive story. But the first burgers that we made cost 20,000 Rand each. Okay? Now that also takes into account 18 months of R&D. We also, as South Africans can be, and I think this is the amazing thing about this country, we did it in 18 months and others have taken 10 years. And we ate it. And everybody's alive. I think. One of them was a politician. So anyway, so that was the first burger, 20,000 Rand. Okay? Within about 6 months, I think we halved the price. I'm just going to look at Taz because she's my co-founder and she's the smart one. And then we halved it again. And I think we've halved it again. So what is the last patties that we did? Give me a... Okay, so in let's call it 18 months, we went from 20,000 Rand to 1,500 Rand per patty. There's two main reasons why it's so expensive. It's the media, the nutrients that we feed the cells. It's about getting those to be food grade, and that's the process that we're doing. So it's not pharmaceutical. So we're not going to be seen as a pharma company, we're a food company, and that's the goal. So our goal, I'm just to beat de Novo, we want to do it by 2026. Our goal is to start building a pilot production facility in the next 24 months to really reduce the costs on the media and then the bioreactors, the vats that we grow everything in. And then we're hoping to reach price parity within the next, well, probably also 2027. That is the goal. Now, it's still version 1 of the product. And that's got a lot of work to be done. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But when you do try it, which you will, by the end of this year, we will start doing it and allowing for South Africans, anyone, to consume our meat in small amounts. You'll find that it's far away from where plant-based is, but it's just not at meat just yet. But we'll get there.
So you touched on something there when you said that you guys actually ate your burger and the Europeans are a bit scared of that. Do you want to just chat a little bit about that, about the regulatory framework, just very briefly? I know it's not the most exciting.
I'll keep it. I love talking about regulations. But I think also Joni will talk a little. I can also talk about how the benefit of doing R&D in South Africa. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's just a really, really great place to do tech. A number of reasons, but regulations being one of them. In Europe, you're actually not allowed to even taste cultivated meat. So you've got companies that have worked in the space for 10 years and they've never been able to try it. Like, how do you do product development if you can't try it? We did it immediately. I ate some meat as soon as I could, and that allows us to really understand it. So the regulation in South Africa, it's a different framework. There's a lot of food safety that we are going to abide by. But it's a very different way to approach it, and it allows for technology and innovation to be at a much quicker rate than our friends up north.
Well, then, Joni, for your product?
Precision fermentation is essentially just recombinant protein expression technology. So there's already recombinant proteins in the market in food. For us, we fit straight into that regulation where we can launch our product, we just label it as animal-free, good to go. And similarly, Europe is very strict around precision fermentation. We are applying for a novel food to enter the market over there, and that takes many years, probably about 3-4 years. And that's only if our protein is completely 100% bioidentical to that found in milk, which we plan for it to be. But any sorts of optimization that you do on that essentially adds another 6 years to that process. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good place to be for R&D.
So if we believe you, the products have some benefits, and at some stage they're going to be affordable.
Yeah.
But Brett, are people going to want to eat lab-grown meat? I know you don't like it if I call it lab-grown meat, but for a lot of people that's what it sounds like. And
So the first thing is perception is a big thing, and that's what I've learned over 15 years. And I think that's at your peril if you are in animal advocacy. I see there's animal advocacy folks in the audience, and if a food producer, perception is the number one game. So if we can't win that, we're dead. We're not going to move forward as a company and as an industry. So the research that we've done that's available to us suggests that about 50-odd% of all South Africans surveyed would be willing to try the product when it became available. And the interesting thing that we learned, and this is demographically representative as well as income representative, was that they would be willing to spend more when understanding the benefits, environment, etc., etc. So and we've got limited data there, and we've also got limited data where there's only one place in the world where you can actually go out and buy cultivated meat, and that's Singapore. It's very limited supply, but people are purchasing it. So, but it's a novelty probably in the beginning. It is more expensive. So if it tastes good and we can get people over the novelty to do a repeat purchase, it seems like there's some really good evidence to suggest that people are going to buy it.
And Joni, I'd imagine it's the same answer that you had earlier, that your product is kind of in something else and people aren't really too worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ingredient, so people aren't kind of examining the back of everything they buy.
There are vegans in the audience. I can guarantee you they read the label. Yeah.
So the next question, I mean, again, I'm going to say if we believe you, but one of the things that happens in this kind of technology is you will say we're going to be ready by 2027 or whatever, and then stuff happens. What are some of the big challenges you have that you really need to overcome in order to make this scalable and to make it affordable?
So I mean, for us, it's purification of the protein out of the broth. So our technology is adapted from the pharmaceutical technology traditionally. So the downstream processing side in pharmaceutical applications can be up to 50-70% of the cost of the whole process. So, I mean, we can borrow technologies for downstream processing and purification from more the dairy industry, just because of the nature of the protein, but kind of adapting that to our process is where a lot of the challenge in scaling is going to come in. Yeah, and I mean, R&D is tough. R&D is very tough, and it takes a very long time. Nothing goes as planned. You can have the most kind of like well thought out timelines and plans for how things want to go, but things in the lab never really behave as expected.
Yeah, it's a lot of fire, sometimes quite literally. Didn't you? No, that was. You didn't set anything on fire once. Was that something else?
It was one time.
It was one time. It was one time.
It was in the microwave, not in the lab.
I was outside the lab. So we work in, just for the record, we Novo and myself and our company and a few others are part of a program which is called UVU Africa, which is actually a public-private organization that has a lab that we work from as we kind of grow, and hopefully next year we start having our own. So our biggest issue is, I mean, R&D, and like you can speak to the team about some of the headaches that we have. It's like issues about contamination is massive for us. And also as we scale, how do we, like fungal and microbials and all these things are floating around, coming from their bioreactors to ours. How do we control for that as we get bigger is a massive challenge, and contamination is something that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then also being able to make scalable technology, because you can't raise capital. I mean, capital for us is a big challenge. Raising capital in South Africa, you can't raise capital unless you can prove scale, and you're trying to prove stuff on a promise. So it is very difficult to showcase that you can go from a lab scale where we are now to a pilot that can produce tons, and that's what we want to do next, tons of meat. So it's scale, it's capital, and it's the R&D. That finicky R&D that keeps my team up at night. So it isn't easy. This is like a very hard challenge that we're doing, but it's exciting, and I think it's something that I would stress anybody who's interested to check it out as a potential to get involved.
It's easy for the marketing person to make some.
I mean, I go, guys, do stuff, and hopefully they do it. That's my. Yeah.
So just one more thing that you touched on. You said you wanted to make this food grade. Can you explain to everyone why it's not food grade anymore, and what that really means to the potential of getting the price down? Yeah.
So the media component of what we're doing, so we take cells and we feed the cells. The cells come from an animal, so it's not vegan. I mean, for maybe under our understanding. Our biggest cost going forward is going to be the operating expense on the media. And essentially what we're doing is taking grass and we're trying to make it available in a lab, let's say for now. And it's about taking the 50 ingredients that we find there, amino acids, glucose, all that kind of stuff, and make it all food grade. And I'll give you an example. So if you had to go, I think Catherine, we had this conversation the other day, and try and make 12 cookies, using pharmaceutical grade stuff. So how much do you think 12 cookies are going to cost?
No, I have no idea how much.
I can't remember how much.
Regular ones would have cost, yeah.
$30,000. Thanks very much. I'm not a numbers guy. I have to get my team in. So $30,000 to make 12 cookies if you had to use pharmaceutical grade material, which is essentially just what you find normally, but from the big pharmaceutical companies. So when we start at the level that we are, we need pharmaceutical stuff because it's available and it works. And now we're trying to test it to say that all one of those ingredients, can we get them to be food grade, and can we get the same outcome? Can we get the same cookies at that level? And I'll just give you a number there. At the beginning of last year, it cost 1,900 Rand per liter of media. And now, how much does it cost? 27 rand. Okay, 27 rand. That's what we've done in 1 year. And then we have to get it cheaper, but that's because it's food grade.
That's really exciting and well done. I think if we look at around the world, no one expected this to be happening here so quickly. So well done to both of you. I think I have been told that we're out of time. So can we please give the two panelists a round of applause?
Q&A.
And then
There's a Q&A sign.
we do have some time for questions. So Amy will have the mic. So if anyone have any questions.
We tackle
No
it.
question. They answered the questions too well. Okay, well then in that case, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you so much, everybody.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today at our incredible McCain Health and Wellness Talks in association with ProVeg. Thank you so much to all our amazing speakers and for sharing such insightful information. If you want to maybe ask those questions just after the talk, I'm sure they'll be happy to hang around for 5 minutes. But thanks again to everyone and have a beautiful afternoon further.
Thank you. Whoa, shit.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Enjoy it.
Some tough questions.
Thanks.
That was good.